We are live. We are officially live. Yes. Thank you. All right. All right. There we go. Hold on. All right. Oh, Denise is watching. Hey, what's up, Gladys? How you doing? I hope all is well with you. Happy New Year. I hope you brought it in safe and sound.
There we go.
All right. I'm gonna go. I got every. Is everybody posted?
I'm good. It's always on cue.
Good, brother.
I'm good.
All right. Let me go ahead and post this number real quick, and then we can go ahead and jump right into it. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm done with that. Finish that. Okay. Just take the top off. Oh, okay. Thank you. Let me go ahead and post our number. Oh, happy New Year to you too, boo. Let's see, 281 626 2912. All right. There you go. Call in with your comments. Feel free to call in with your comments. All right. Got it. Okay. I posted it. I think it's going straight to YouTube though. That's not what I wanted to do. But all right, we're gonna go ahead and get started. Alexa, pause. This is things that people don't want to talk about. Brought to you by God Level. That would be me. My name is Renee. I'm originally from St. Louis. I'm actually home right now. Been having a great weekend. But I live in Houston, Texas. I am a mother. I am an entrepreneur. I am a sister. I'm a cousin. I'm an aunt. I am a nurse. I am everything good. And here are my two co-hosts, John Skywalker and King Newborn. John, you want to go ahead and represent yourself?
John Nicholson here, aka John Skywalker, the Sly Talker, lyricist, spoken word artist, martial artist, personal trainer, lover of life, and student of psychology. Oh, and father. I'm a father. So we are in 2022 now, and I have released a new album titled Lightbenders. It is a collaboration album between myself and Andre Black, who is a vocalist, sound engineer. He's a visual artist. He's also a vocalist. I don't know if I said that, but yeah, that's out right now on all streaming platforms. Y'all should cop that if you like conscious hip hop artists such as Common, Lupe Fiasco, Talib Kweli, Pharoah Monch. If you like that body of work, that school of thought when it comes to hip hop, yeah, you should peep me out. It's definitely
Absolutely.
bringing light to the world. Also, I am offering a 30-day superfoods detox protocol that's going to help you detox, get your gut and immunity in check, and ultimately help you lose weight and put you on a better path to a healthier lifestyle. So if that is interesting to you, if that's capturing your interest, Master John Skywalker, that's my handle on IG. Hit me up, DM. Let's just talk. Let's break it down. Let's do the science, and let's see if this aligns with you. By the way, I did say I'm a personal trainer, so if you still, trying to figure out that New Year's resolution, like, hey, I think I want to get my body right, hit me up. Let's talk. I'll be your life coach. I'll be your cheerleader. I'll be your therapist. I'll be your warrior training consult.
Life
Like,
coach.
yo, yeah,
Life coach.
the life coach, the life coaching is there too. But I'll be training you virtually, and we can make that happen. Whatever your fitness and health goals are, let's just chop it up. What's you know What's good? What's really good?
King Newborn, go ahead and represent yourself.
Peace, peace, peace. It's King Newborn. You can follow me on all social media platforms at Newborn Everything. Let me say Happy New Year to all. 2022. Let's bring it in right. Execute like we should.
Mhm. All right, y'all ready? Okay. This is a three-part conversation. We started off last week with child support. We're going to be talking about housing this week, and then next week we're going to go into government assistance, how all of this ties in to kind of keep us complacent. Is that the right word?
Mm.
All right. Housing is Government Housing Authority, Section 8, which dates back to 1937. The Housing Act that was implemented for government agencies to pay um, this was after, oh my God, the Depression. This was after the Depression. Right now, today, in our community, we cannot speak on nobody else, but our community, Section 8 is not used as the stepping stone that it is. Um, Generally, we have seen a lot of people get on Section 8 and continue to stay there without attempting to move forward. So a lot of these government agencies and assistance is really, it can help you if you use it the right way. But if you get on it with the food stamps, I'm just putting it all out there, the Medicaid, the Section 8, it's going to keep you comfortable. And it's going to put you in a position where you don't feel like you can um, not move forward, but you won't be motivated to do so because you're having most of all of your basic needs met. So it's going to be like, okay, what else do I need to do? And then a lot we've been seeing that a lot of it's hereditary. I would say hereditary, but generational. Um, it's really hurting us versus helping us. Anybody want to piggyback off of that?
Go ahead, John. I see it.
No, wait a minute, brother. I'm gonna have to put you on the spotlight. I'm sorry, brother, but I'm gonna have to put you on the spotlight. This was your topic. Lead the way.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Yeah.
I did my research. Lead the way, honey. Lead the way.
You say lead the way,
Yes.
huh? I mean, just like you got generational curses,
Hmm.
are we taking the time to create generational wealth? So if you continue,
Mm,
like you said, stay complacent
right.
with the Housing Act, like you're really not changing nothing. You just following, um, I don't even want to say protocol, but you're following a trend of what was passed down from your parents. You know, government assistance, WIC, housing vouchers, food stamps. You're not stepping away from it. You're not actually putting yourself in optimal position to make sure your children don't have to go through what you went through. And
Right.
sometimes that will
Mm.
take you to actually make a sacrifice, you know. So
Okay.
Mm. Mm. I want to say that when it comes to welfare, we have to take into consideration that welfare is an investment by society into the society. And there's a lot of countries that don't have welfare. There's a lot of countries out there that don't have this, right? So I understand that, in the 1930s, it's like the U.S. welfare program was designed mainly to, support widowed women and orphan children, right? And then later it was like extended to support single mothers and their children. And although the welfare system has been valued for like its economic assistance to women, there has been like a lot of concern, regarding its potential negative impact. And we are kind of saying here that welfare has been associated with poor participation in the labor force. It's been associated with substance abuse. It's been associated with poor health, right? And we're essentially saying that the negative consequences might be greater for those who receive welfare for longer periods of time, right?
Oh, yeah.
But there's also the question of self-interest. Like, all right, so you got self-interest. What does the individual want to do at any given point, right? And we are autonomous beings. We're self-determining beings, right? Or self-deterministic beings, which means that we determine our own fate. But sometimes we focus too much on the individual, but that's because we're in an individualistic society, right? Sometimes we focus on what the individual is doing and we put everything on the individual. And that is a basic attribution error. And what that's just a fancy way of me saying that it's erroneous. It's an error for us to put it all on one person just because we're in this society, right? So we're removing the context, we're removing the influence of the environment, right? Um, we can't group all of the single women in one bucket just
No,
because they're all right. Yeah, right.
no,
But
we're
we
not
have
going to do that. So we got to be
right.
very careful on how we move forward with this particular conversation because we don't want to offend anyone at all.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
right. So we have to consider that there were other influences here now, like redlining, right? Redlining is that's
Okay.
a big deal. Okay, we're talking about 100 years, at least 100 years of racist housing policies that created a separate and unequal America. When we're talking about, Section 8 housing, there ain't a whole lot of white people there. And it's not to say that they're absent, okay, but
Right.
there's not a whole lot.
They're the ones that's renting them out.
There's black and brown people there, right? But
Yeah.
for someone to be in that position, a lot of black people, black and brown people, were born in that. And then you look at the education system that's around that area, near that neighborhood, and you have children going to school there, and some of those schools are even segregated in terms of how much funding they're getting. So they got like this shoestring level of funding, and
Okay.
you're trying to produce citizens that have this certain level of consciousness that aligns with the nation,
Mm-hmm.
but you're cutting like funding for that.
Right.
Meanwhile, these middle class societies, which they're being supported by their own income, and that's another variable, income disparity, right?
Okay.
So you got these middle class societies that's arguing, well, we're able to do it. Yeah, okay. Well, in your market, in
You're
your
able to
area,
do
where
it. Yeah.
your
That's where the
labor
money
market,
is. Right.
yeah, if the money's there, then yeah, you can
Right.
invest more
You
into
can't
your
do it.
streets,
Yeah.
and you can put more vegetation, trees there. You can have better
Right.
sidewalks. You can have a cleaner neighborhood. You can invest in your
Right, right,
your
True.
your
right.
public
True.
education,
It is
right?
true. Right.
Right. So when we're talking about the housing, right, as it relates to black and brown people, it's
Mm-hmm.
not just, all right, I'm receiving money to be here.
Mm-hmm.
There's other variables that's cutting them off so that they can't
Okay.
see anything
And
more.
education is one
So
of them.
right. So your children are going to these schools. You're already graduated. You already have your high school. Well, I'm assuming. I'm sorry. I'm assuming.
You-
No, no,
And
not
it's
you.
funny.
Not you.
It's
Not
not
you.
funny,
No.
but it's not funny. But go ahead. Go
No,
ahead.
but I'm assuming whoever's the recipient of Section 8 housing and government assistance, I'm making the assumption that they're already high school educated, right? But you're there. You're already there. You're
Okay.
working at a job. You don't have higher education that's going to qualify you for that next paying job, that high paying job. Ain't a whole lot of people that's starting businesses that live in the projects, and they're, all of a sudden a Fortune 500 company, or even making millions. They don't even qualify for loans, right? So if we're talking about, hey, these women, these single mothers with children need to
Mm-hmm.
come up out of this. There's
Yeah.
the question of how, when your focus is I'm trying to work to bring income into this house. I'm also trying to raise these children. You only have 24 hours in a day,
Absolutely.
right? And anywhere between 6 and 8 hours, anywhere between 6 and 8, you're sleeping. So if you're not working the other 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and then you're focusing on children, where do you get the time to strategize to get out of Section 8
Mm,
government assistance? Where's the
that's a
time?
good point.
I needed to, well,
That's
you
a
got
good
the
point.
weekends. The weekends you trying to recoup from that, that plantation shit that you just endured.
You sound like my
So
son. Go ahead.
all I'm saying is it really fair for us to have this expectation? I'm not saying it's impossible, but when you think about how this all started and then you look at the long game here, the children who grow up in these neighborhoods under these conditions are likely to replicate their parents' fate unless there's some interventions. So I'm gonna pinch it off right there and let's
Okay.
see where we go from here.
Father.
What did you say, brother?
I said the Father.
Where's dad? Yeah.
The
Where's
father is
dad in
not in
all
the
of this?
home anymore. The father is not in the house anymore.
Mm.
So just like John said, when you look at the time that it take to get some sleep, 6 to 8 hours, go to work 6 to 8 hours, you know, you get home, we got what, 5 hours with the kids, possibly. You ran out of time to actually come up or strategize for a way to come out of this. That's where you need your helpmate at. And
Mm,
he's not in the home front no more.
no, no, no. He's not in the home front anymore. This woman has probably endured having this Costello. Hello, what's the conversation tonight? Oh, hey, boo, how you doing? The conversation is housing, government housing, Section 8. That's what we're talking about tonight. And thanks for joining us, Boo. I appreciate your support. Thank you. Um, okay, now what was I saying about the man not being in the home when it comes to Section 8 and government housing? They're actually not even allowed to be in the home because that's one of the conditions of actually getting it is that the man cannot be there. So it's another way they're saying that they want that woman to be by herself to raise those children to figure it out on her own,
Mm.
which is sad, which is freaking sad. So and then it puts her in that position. Mom said you look beautiful. Tell your mother, Miss Rosie, to call me. Give her my number, please. Call me. Tell her I love her, and thank you. Oh my God, what was I saying? To have
Mm.
that woman, what? To have that woman in the
Keep going.
house.
Keep going.
Keep going.
Please keep going.
I'm nervous now. To okay, let me go back. One of the one of the things that have to be done when a woman gets Section 8, she cannot have that man in the household with her. So that pushes her to be independent and to be the one, thank you, to be the one taking care of everybody, which leaves that man outside the house. So there's your broken home right there again. And then with her being independent and walking around and, thank you, and saying that she can do it by herself, but technically she's not doing it by herself. The government is assisting her in doing it. So basically, with the Medicaid, the food stamps, the Section 8, I mean, I hate to say it, the government is your man.
Mm.
That's basically it. The government is your man. Your man should be the one helping you with your home. With y'all should be working together as a team with those bills, getting that food, that health care, raising those children so it just won't be one person. But the way that this agency is set up is that it's keep pushing the families. apart. It's not to help bring you together at all. If that was the case, then it wouldn't be put out there that, oh, you can't have a man live with you while you're on assistance or while you having Section 8. It shouldn't be like that. Anybody want to piggyback off of that?
I just want to throw a question out there.
Go ahead.
So, with all this taking place, let's say you have a son and a daughter.
Okay.
With all this taking place, what is it teaching your son?
Okay. What are the messages? Yeah.
We got it. Okay. Go ahead. Answer.
I'm asking a question. What is it teaching the son? Is he growing up? Is it teaching him love? Is it teaching him unity? Is it teaching him fairness? Is it teaching him to be able to lean on the system or lean on his mom?
That all depends on if there's okay, is there a man in the household?
Okay, once again, I say due to what we're talking about right now.
Okay. What is that? Oh. That's a very good question. We put a lot of the focus on the women, the young girls, and we're leaving our young men out there, our young boys, to fend for themselves. We're forgetting about them. It's like they don't matter as long as the girls is being independent. They're the ones that are going out and taking care of themselves. We're not teaching our boys anything. We're not teaching our young men anything.
Well, the main thing you're teaching is that he has no place in the home front.
So he's never going to feel at home anywhere.
Period.
Okay. Which is why he's going to go from house to house.
If that works.
Looking for a place of peace. A place, not even a place of peace, but to feel like he belonged. Oh, wow.
I'm just saying that's a heavy psyche. You know, you growing up and you see your mom constantly getting assistance from the government saying that you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to do this. But the main thing she's speaking about and speaking to will be to his sister, not to him. So once again, what is he learning? What is he getting from all of this? Like
almost like he has no place.
Now I know that as we're at this space right now, we're kind of speculating. It could go either way. It could go either way, right? So, the question is, in which direction, like what are some of the influences that lead to producing, let's say, the daughter to break that generational curse, to come up out of it, right? So we have some Black women who make the sacrifice so that their children don't have to go through what they've been through, right? We have some collections of Black women that have that mentality, right?
Yes.
And they're instilling that in their daughters, which leads to this boom of Black women being successful in entrepreneurship, in academia, in the medical field, right? And they're making six figures and such, right?
Absolutely.
But then we're also looking at fewer sons being able to attain the same level of success. And of course, the way that males are groomed is going to be slightly different.
When there's no man in the house.
Boys have to be socialized differently than females in order to attain a certain level of success. Again, we need role models to imitate, to see what is possible. So even when girls are growing up and they see that their mom is working two jobs and they're living in the projects, food stamps and all that, the girl has this understanding that I don't want to be like this because mom has instilled that in her. And it's not to say that the boy can't have the same outcome, right? But it looks differently for a man. And then he's still struggling or internalizing some emotional issues to not having a male figure there to help him deal with his emotions. You know, what is healthy emotional expression for a man versus a female, right? And then, you know, what is his responsibility? Like, yeah, he's taking care of the home, right? He's being big brother, maybe little brother, right? The man of the house, and yet he's not paying any bills. But again, you got to look at the circumstance. We're talking about Section 8 housing. These aren't the most beautiful
Yeah.
places on earth. So
No.
if there's not a lot of economic opportunity in that area, you know, now we're talking about crime. We're talking about you know, theft, gangs, um, drugs, you know, trafficking, right? So those are the opportunities that he's being exposed to. So he's being you know, he's more likely to be socialized in that direction. Again, I just mentioned that the public schools in some of these areas, these black areas, even if they're like, you know, school is 5 miles away, that's still within a certain district, a certain proximity to that neighborhood. So you're still talking about reduced funding, reduced investment in that area so that whatever future citizens come out of that, they're not going to be up par. They're not going to be up to par with the rest of the society. So you're still talking about black men not being invested in. But there is more investment in black women to a certain degree, to a certain degree. But
We talked
if we
about
have
that.
interventions, which in certain impoverished areas and certain ghettos, we have some of that. Like, I mean, I know in New York, oh my gosh, there's it's plentiful up there. To some degree, it's plentiful, right? I mean, you
Okay.
don't have like let's just think for a moment. We're very familiar, and we just talked about him too. Brother Polite, man came from poverty. Now, the man came from poverty, and
He's
he's
also
one
a
of our.
gang member.
Hold on. Hold on. What did you say, King Newborn?
I say he's also a gang member.
Oh,
So he was one of our own, right? And he rose to the success that he was in. But just think about where he came from, right? But he's one of the rare ones. And even when I'm looking at certain hip hop artists, they kind of come to an awakening, right? As they gain their success, you know, they did a whole bunch of sin just to get where they're at, and then they go back to their roots and they say, you know what? Let me put some money. Not all, but certain ones go back and they reinvest and they say, you know what? Like Kendrick Lamar did it, right? He
hold
went back.
on.
He's like, all right.
Hold on. Let's bring it back. Tonight's subject and topic is housing, Section 8,
Mhm.
and how it is affecting our community right now with our women getting on it and being complacent and not moving forward, not taking this as a stepping stone to get themselves into a better position in life. They're staying complacent, collecting food stamps, collecting Medicaid, paying next to nothing for rent, but not taking the opportunity to educate themselves, to move themselves into a better position for the children that are living in that home. And not looking at the fact that that government assistance, that agency is keeping all of them in one freaking section.
Mhm.
That's no,
Well,
that's what
hold on. All right, I want you to imagine something. Where
oh
do you
Lord.
stay? Right. Well, I want you to look at the area that you stay, Renee.
The
How much is
area
it?
in which I grew up in,
Yeah.
or the
No,
area
no,
in
no,
which I
no.
live in
The
now.
area, the where do you stay at in Texas? Right. Look at
I
where you
live
stay at.
where buses do not come. Okay, I got you. Go right ahead.
Do you think any of these women out here that's working, you know, at $10 an hour, do you think they can afford to stay where you stay? They can't afford to stay where you stay, and so there's also the tendency when there's lack, poverty has a relationship to sin. Poverty has a relationship to crime. Poverty has a relationship to theft. So, so I'm asking, with the money that you're making, the
Really,
lifestyle that
brother?
you have, the lifestyle
Really,
that you
brother?
have,
The lifestyle that I have, let's talk
right?
about it.
Would you
Let's talk
want
about it.
would you want the hood 1 mile from where you live at?
Oh damn.
It's okay. I'll go first. I'll go first. I'll go first if you don't want to.
Go right ahead. Lead the way.
No,
Abs-
no, because I fucking know. I know. I love my people, but I fucking know.
Exactly.
So I
Exactly.
worked hard to get where I'm at so I can stay away from that shit. Because that
Right.
shit is a jungle. We know it's a jungle.
I
We
grew
know
up
it is.
on Chodo, high rise,
Right.
ninth
Right.
floor, pissy hallways, elevator always broke. And it was always something going on. It was either a drunk, you had fights, it was just like, and we were all packed in like a bunch of rats. And they tore them down. This is right across the street from the Peabodys in St. Louis. I'm here right now. You don't even see, there's nothing left of it. But I grew up like that, and I just knew that I wanted something different. That's
This is I'm just trying to make a point here.
okay.
In a certain regards, you made it. You made it out. Okay?
In
You made
certain,
it out.
yeah. Okay.
You made it out.
I'm part of the
But
working poor now.
would you want to bring the hood with you, knowing what you endured and knowing what that place there's some good in the hood now. We know this. We know this. But
Oh
we
yeah.
also know
No,
we know the risk too.
we know
Like
we
you
know
can't
that there's good and bad everywhere you go. Period.
right. But we're just talking
Even
about
when I lived in South County. Now in the hood, you can get a bag of weed. In South County, you can get a bag of Xanax.
Mm.
It's something everywhere you go.
right. But we're just talking about, when it comes to the segregation, right? We're talking about segregation, and it just so happens to be tied to race. Okay, it just so conveniently happens to be tied to race. With you making it out, would you want to bring the hood to where you were, even though you had to maneuver differently than they did? You had to do something different. You had to do something different now to
Right.
get to the socioeconomic status that you're in, to get into the environment that you're in, to breathe the air that you're breathing in. It's probably cooler where you're at compared to where it is in the hood, right? So it's a travesty in one pocket that it's designed the way that it is to segregate the hood over here, right? But we
Right.
also got to ask ourselves this: we've been there. Do we take care of our shit?
What the fuck is going on?
Do we take care of our shit? And if we don't, if you make it out the hood, would you want to bring those people who can't take care of their shit, appreciate their shit, appreciate the value, the property value? Do we want to bring that along? We got to hold ourselves accountable now. We got to hold ourselves accountable, right?
Right.
So if we know, collectively speaking, that that's the general tendency, we can understand why it's socially engineered that way,
Okay.
right? So it's like, all right, let's keep this concentrated right here because these are the
yeah.
general tendencies, right?
Right.
So it's messed up in one pocket, right?
It is.
But there's overwhelming competition to get out of that. You got to see opportunity, and opportunities are few, right? We're still talking about the labor market. The labor market is tied in. You need finances to not only develop this area, but also develop the the residents inhabiting that area.
Right.
So what we see, it's the question of, well, how are white people able to do it? You have fewer single white mothers, fewer single widowed mothers, even mothers, white mothers who were singled or divorced. They ended up getting remarried again, and their quality of life improved, so they were no longer on Section 8
That
on government
is
assistance.
true. Right.
Facts.
So you need money to get out of this situation, no matter
Right.
how many ways you slice it, remold it, and shape it. You gotta
Mm.
have money, you gotta have information, and you gotta have opportunity.
Opportunity.
Is it
Resource.
there? Yes, resources. Just as
Go
much as
ahead.
opportunity, too. Just as much as opportunity. You need the information, though, too. You need information.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
Because
King. Nina.
that's gonna shape your consciousness and in terms of how you transcend that environment.
No, that's facts because I noticed when I was growing up in the schools, we used to have home ec, we used to have workshop,
Mhm. Yeah.
and they took those systems away. I'm sorry, they
Right.
took those programs away, and it was only because they was creating competition for the union. They didn't want brothers in the union. As sad as it is, I mean, it's fact because once you left high school, you actually had a trade from high school, so you could actually go
Right.
out here and work.
Right.
So that was
Mm.
something that I feel like will help some of those men or young boys that during a time where, like you just said, John, not having the proper resources, education, or just being valued, period, in the home front due to the fact that you don't have a role model or somebody to look up to or to follow, i.e., your father. Some of these schools that did have these programs actually saved a lot of young men's lives.
Mm.
But I mean, I don't know, man. You sit and you think about it, you be like, well, for me, like Sister said, when they designed some of these, like some of those elevators was designed to stop on certain floors.
Mm. Okay.
That was by design. And that's been documented. That's by design. And yes, it was pissy hallways, but it was
Always.
also
Yes.
also every now and then you'll find a body in a hallway.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
Oh yeah.
but these conditions would almost psychologically numb you as you get older to where it's like this is what you expect to see. This is your
Right.
lifestyle. So when you do move to where you are, like John said, you are where you are right now. Like
Mm-hmm.
I don't want none of those conditions around me, and
Right.
birds of a feather flock together. So if you constantly perpetuating the same cycle, vicious cycle that you grew up in, I mean, ultimately where you live at is gonna turn into the same thing. I don't know. It's
Mhm.
crazy, man. When you really sit and think about it, it's like
Right.
like they doing a number on us.
They really. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying, and we don't even see it. We don't even see it.
I guess
It's
it
just
comes down to it has to be something within yourself that you just want different, and you're willing to do whatever it takes to achieve it.
yes, yes,
It ain't gonna be easy
yes.
though, but
No, and it's not.
yeah.
But as long as
Mm.
What happened? Everybody froze up.
Oh, dang it.
what
Okay.
what just
What is
happened?
going on, man? I told y'all, man. Man,
It
look.
literally just what the hell was that?
All right. I don't know how to.
I told you, the government,
Uh,
man. Y'all be thinking I'm
Man,
playing.
you know what?
yeah,
We
I don't have. All right. Well, let's just keep it rolling. Let's just keep it rolling. Right.
okay. Well,
Um.
it's just like that's the second time that has happened. First it happened with brother, then it just the whole thing just shut down and
Yeah, that's
mm.
crazy right there.
All right. And in terms of the whole notion of coming out of government assistance, I think it is possible, but There's been what? All right, so we're in 2022, right? I know there's been significant talks about welfare reform over the past 20 years. 1996 was probably really more significant towards the current
What
state
the?
of welfare reform that we see today.
What is going on?
I don't know what's going on. I can't see the chats now. I don't know what happened. Like a lot of
I can still see the chats. It's Yeah, I can still see the chats. Um,
hold on. Okay, got it. All right.
okay,
If
so
anyone call, if anybody want to call in with their with comments concerning what
mm,
we're talking about right now, the number has been posted. It's 281-626-2912. We would love to hear from you. Go ahead.
Reposted.
mm.
Okay, I can do that.
So the getting out part, I think that is probably a core piece of all of this. What would it take to help mitigate some of this? What would it take to mitigate some of these social ills tied into intergenerational dependency, right? What would
Mm,
it take? Like, what can a single mother do? What can a single man do? We're not even talking about single father, but it's like, all right, when you look at the market value, oh, I hate to say that, the market value of a single mother with one or two kids living in the projects, she's working. And by the way, there are a lot of black mothers who are working, even though they're on government assistance, government housing,
hmm.
they are working
Yeah,
because
they are working. They
that's
are.
part of the program. That's part of the
Hmm.
welfare reform that happened somewhere around 1996. And throughout each decade, every president had something to say. I remember when Reagan kind of what did he say about black women? He stereotyped black women. He was one of the first to do it. Um, uh, what was it? Was it a welfare queen? He coined that term. Ronald Reagan coined that term, welfare queen, where he was saying, she's got he said she's got like 12 addresses and like 12 social security numbers. Like basically she's scamming the system. He painted this really fucked up picture of black women and stereotyped them, and that was imprinted on the consciousness of white America. Oh, this is what black people are doing. And that stereotype ended up fueling a lot of racist policies as it related to welfare programs in America. Mind you, these are downtrodden Americans that don't have the same resources as white Americans at the time. So again, we're still talking about the labor market. We're still talking about access and opportunity. And yet Reagan was a Republican, and so he favored, certain policies, especially as it related to white people, right? So you have a low income community, an impoverished community, a minority community that doesn't have the same um, time, privilege of time and resources um, as white Americans when they were on the welfare program. And they're like, all right, let's go ahead and cut that off and let's reinvest it here.
Mm,
And
okay.
then you have Clinton that comes in 1996. I believe he Newt Gingrich was a very important figure in welfare reform around that time. I remember even the bill fired whoever was in charge of the welfare programs around the 90s. It even fired that guy. That was crazy. But it changed the requirements for government assistance. That's when they also changed it from I think it was ADC to TANF. That's how we know it
Yeah,
as now, TANF. So that
yeah.
was around
Turn.
1996, right? And so before, black women didn't have to work in order to get government assistance. And a lot of people were
Mm,
like, man, it's not fair. You need to contribute some way, somehow. Like we need this money to get put back into the pockets, the government pockets, to keep funding these programs. All right, cool. That levied out pretty well. But again, like I said when we were offline, we have to look at government assistance in the same way that we look at child support. This is just to maintain bodies. It's just to maintain bodies.
Can you say that one more time, sir?
Government assistance is just like child support. It's just to maintain the body.
I can't with my brother.
Yep.
So I understand, like I said in the beginning, welfare is basically an investment by
It
the
is.
society in the society. And a lot of us, we don't agree with welfare, right? But if you're looking at the whole laissez-faire concept, the capitalistic concept, you know, it sounds good in theory, but there's a lot of assumptions when it comes to capitalism that everybody is capable. That's the first one. Everybody is capable of
Mm.
generating revenue. If that were the case, you wouldn't have a disabled population, right? The labor market would always be ripe with prime competition, and that's not necessarily true. And of course, when we think of socialist programs, they have their flaws, right? We did identify the complacency and that the talent isn't necessarily at its best, because when we're thinking about self-interest, we're thinking, well, shoot, why exercise my talent in the labor market when you're already giving me everything that I need? Well,
Facts.
here's what people don't consider. If I am a poet, my purpose as a poet is not contingent on any of this. I'm not a poet just because I'm not a poet as far as it's going to pay the bills.
Okay.
I'm not an engineer. I'm not a teacher as long as it
Mhm.
pays the bills. I'm doing this
Mhm.
because I have a talent for it. So
Mhm.
a lot of people will argue that if you have a talent and you do not participate in the workforce and everything is given to you, you won't exercise that talent in the labor force. It's not true. A lot of
Mm.
people are willing to take pay cuts just to exercise their talent, because work is not just about getting money. Work,
Mm.
let me say that 3 times. Work is not just about getting money. Work is not just about getting money. Work is about having a purpose in life. And human beings do want purpose in life. They want their life
Right.
to be meaningful. In order to be happy, you got to have a meaningful life.
Okay.
So just having security alone is not it. So we're stigmatizing a lot of Black people, especially Black women. We're stigmatizing a lot of Black people, saying that, oh, they don't want to work. Yeah, you got some that don't want to work. You got some that's
And
like
you
that.
got some that
But
don't want to work.
right.
You just
But
said it.
as it relates to the family, there are a lot of Americans in general that really just want to have a purpose in life, and they want to be able to provide for their families. They want to be able to provide for their children. And of course, when we're talking about this whole housing authority issue, how
Yeah.
it's sort of just how it's dismantled the Black family by keeping them apart. It's
Yes.
like, yeah, it is a big issue,
Absolutely.
and they're
Absolutely.
right. But how do you reform a program as such to include fathers into the equation so that they can bring their families out of that situation? That's very hard to do.
That's a mouthful.
Yeah, hold on, John. Hold on, John. Hold on, John. Newborn.
What?
Go ahead.
Oh no, he's
I
speaking
know.
all
No, no, no,
facts.
no. Yeah, I want to hear your thoughts. I want to hear your thoughts.
I mean, he pointed out, like you said, it make it even harder for a melanated man, brown or black, to actually rescue his family. He's already put at a
Mm,
disadvantage. He already been told you can't be here. You could come on the weekends, but even on the weekends, the social worker might pop up. So
Mhm.
it's an issue. Then if he goes stay over here with Nancy or whoever you come up with, that's another issue too. So now he got 2 home fronts. He probably trying to provide for, because you can't just stay there. You gotta put in. It ain't just take out the trash and chivalry to open the doors. You still got to put in to help pay for bills, food, or she wanted to get her hair and nails done. Oh, I ain't gonna even talk about that. But it's I don't know, man. It's just crazy. I'm sitting here and you really think about it. Like we are really. I'm talking about as a man. I only can speak for a man. When you really want to uplift your family and put them in a different perspective in which they were brought up in, because they have their own. Like a woman has her own trauma that she go through. You got your own trauma that you go through, and you're trying to come together as one. But neither one of you have actually healed from just the system alone. Just the system alone. Let alone, you saw your mama struggle. Both of y'all know that your mama struggled because dad wasn't allowed or permitted to be there. And when he was there, mom and dad was always arguing. Why was they arguing? Because, the other day I tried to get in touch with you and I couldn't reach you. And the chances are he was trying to find somewhere to sleep at night.
Ooh. Mm.
That could be an issue within itself. You know what I'm saying? So
Homelessness.
yeah, so it's just like you got impact on top of impact on top of impact on top of impact. Hence, eventually you come to like, what they say, niggas ain't shit, and then that's power in effect. So I don't know, man. It's deep. I mean, we could talk about this all day. We can do this all year, to be honest, but
we could. We could. I
one
think
thing
we covered it, but go ahead.
One thing I would like for us to try to do is point out what are the solutions?
Yeah.
Like, what are the solutions and what are the agencies that we can, speak upon to even help others that may not have resources or know who to call for either therapy, healing, have somebody to talk to, life coaches.
John is my life coach.
Yeah, but that's for you though. I mean, unless John's trying to put himself in the light of the world.
Yeah, and that's a challenge in and of itself, bro.
Yeah, no, I'm serious. Because at some point, some of the information, and my hat goes off to anybody that's a mental health therapist, to anybody that's in that field, because I know some of the things that you hear, some of the secrets that people reveal and talk to you about is mind blowing, and you have to walk around with that on your head. And sometimes you have to separate professionalism and what's my life. And that could be hard to do at times, because you could be sitting there and somebody be like, well, I was raped by my father. You'd be like, what the? You still got to remain a professional, So I don't know. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, and man, they do. They hear a lot. And I had one earlier this year. I mean, late last year, was a guy, and I came through the door telling him the worst of the worst, and he didn't flinch. And when he didn't flinch, I knew he was the right one. It didn't shake him up. And then we sat down and he said, what do you want to do? I said, I want to clean out my closet. He said, well, let's get started. I was like, oh, wow. Yeah. So yeah, I encourage everyone, if you've been through any type of childhood trauma, is sexual abuse, go sit down and talk to someone, because it really does affect you later on in life, even though you think that it doesn't. And
virtual,
we talked about
guys.
that. Huh?
Virtual. I know that it's not readily accessible in the hood. Let's be clear. I know this. But you guys can access mental health therapy virtually. They even have apps now for this stuff. The resources are out there, yo. Just Google mental health virtually. There's so many different platforms in which you can talk to a therapist. Some of them do it pro bono. If you live anywhere, if your urban area even has a college campus, there's a lot of upcoming therapists and counselors in that environment. They're likely going to, give you a underrated, a lower rate on therapy, because, they're just learning. Some of them even do it for free because they need to practice. They need to practice. It's like, well,
Mm.
John, that's like lower quality therapy. No, because they're just taking theory and applying
Right.
it.
Mm.
So they're
Yes.
learning the
Yes.
theory, and then again, you have to consider, if you didn't do this, what else would you do? You
Mm.
could read a book. You could try to self-analyze, but that takes a whole lot of honesty. And then even when
It
you
does.
self-analyze yourself, you still got to have a treatment program. And treatment is lifelong for a
It
lot of us.
is.
Treatment is lifelong,
It
right?
is.
So I just want
Yeah.
to encourage you guys, if you are out there and you're watching this and you in the hood, virtual, virtual. That's where we're at right now. People don't have access, go
Right.
virtual.
Yep. All right.
Oh, real quick, like John said, and my sister is saying as well, for all the young men, anybody that I'm gonna say any young man that happen to watch this, or if you know of some young men, let them know that it's okay to seek help. Some of us are too prideful. Some of us feel like we won't nobody understand because our upbringing, we was told to keep it bottled in, hold it in.
Yeah.
Sometimes it helps to be able to talk to somebody. So if you know of anybody that might be going through something, especially young men that might not have any role models or anybody to turn to, man, it's okay to offer a helping ear. You never know what that might do or prevent as far as like depression and suicide.
Oh yes. Oh yes. That was good. Go, brother. That was good. That
No,
was
John was good. John showing out.
John, you showed out this. John, you carried this whole show today.
I don't know, man. I
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
know.
you did.
There were so many things. There's so much out there, man, regarding this issue. Like, there's so many
Yeah.
facts, so much info. There's so many ways to unravel the problem. But
Yep.
yeah, like this segment right here, it's like, but what's the how? And you know, several salutes to the women out there, the single mothers out there that made a way for their children in an attempt to
Absolutely.
break the generational curses.
There are,
But it's an
Facts.
yes,
ongoing problem. It has
yes.
to be a collaboration of both. It has to be a
Hmm.
collaboration of policy and then the individual, and seizing those opportunities when they're ripe. And sometimes those opportunities aren't there.
Yeah, that's
That's
true.
the reality of it. But when it comes to that family unit, I know a lot of black brothers out there. Oh man, I've probably been about anywhere between 6 to 10 conversations where I've seen, well, if it wasn't for the black woman taking the government assistance, we wouldn't be in this situation. And it's like, okay, so what were they supposed to do?
Right.
Yeah. But when you
I mean,
take
just
it,
brother.
have a plan. Don't let that be like the last step. Don't let that be the last thing that you get comfortable, because you still want to evolve, and you want to do so not just for yourself but for your children as well, to show them that this is not just the last step. This is
You
like
know,
you said, that's and if we're wanting to have a better generation, then we have to show them. That's all I'm saying. You gotta show them.
and to piggyback off of what both of you are saying, it's important. I'll be glad if we bury the cliche. Well, this is all I know.
Mhm.
I
Woo!
can't.
Oh, this is all I know. Woo!
This is all I know. This is what I was taught. That don't mean that that's it. If you ever
Yes.
took time out to stand outside, you're constantly seeing things move. You're constantly seeing things change.
Mm-hmm.
Right now it's cold outside. At one point it was
Right.
hot. At one point
Right.
trees had leaves on. At one point the grass was green. If
Right.
everything, if the planet that you walk on is constantly changing, you can't make the excuse for you is to be that the way I was brought up as a child. It's all I know. Everything around you is changing. Granted, sometimes being in motion don't necessarily mean that you're being productive, but and I'm not saying that's for everybody. Like John said, due to lack of education and resources, sometimes it does make it hard for you to make it out. But if you could
Mm-hmm.
look to your left or look to your right and see any type of example of somebody trying, to change their mindset, to change their environment, to put themselves in a better position. It's okay to ask. I know sometimes we'll be afraid to reach out, talk to somebody, and ask somebody, like, "Hey, how did you do that? How did you get?"
Right.
Because we so afraid of how we're going to be rejected or looked up as stupid or dumb because you're asking. You can't be afraid to ask. It's okay to ask.
Yes, it is. Tonight, before we go, because next week we're doing what? Government assistance. Do we even need to talk about this? I don't know. I think we
need to
hit it
go ahead.
out.
We need to go ahead and move into interracial. Let's go ahead and move into interracial dating. Let's
Interracial
go ahead and do
dating.
it. Mm-hmm.
All right. Interracial dating is next week. Oh!
Yeah. Let's take it up. Let's take it up.
Yes.
So this ties into housing.
Okay.
I'm just saying, think about it. That man, he ain't even accepted in his own community.
Ooh.
I'm just saying. He learned this through high school. So when he get in college, what he looking at? Everything but his own. I apologize.
No, but that's real though. No, do not apologize for that. That is real. And that is one of the reasons why. Oh my God.
Then you want to say, well, why do these successful athletes end up being with? I mean, you got a lot of trauma from as a child growing up. A lot of trauma. You got a lot of situations, like you said. This is the only way I can bring my mama out the hood, but I want to continue to be successful after the point. So you don't see too many of them
reach back and pull somebody from the hood that they grew up with.
Yeah, I'm just saying, what I'm saying?
That's it.
Kathy has a BBA, you know what I'm saying? She a doctor, you know what I'm saying? She a lawyer. She on the way to have her own law firm, So it's like, I mean, I don't know, man. It's crazy because you can have so many different spins on the psyche of an individual based off how he was brought up and he or she was brought up. But to think that, in a young man's mind, he wasn't even meant to even make it past maybe 12, 13, 14, 18, 21. And even if he did, there's no hope for him. And at this time, he's so promiscuous. Now he got 2, 3 kids, 2, 3 different baby mamas or mothers of his children. So now he's just perpetuating the cycle. And now he's in the system, because of child support, and not necessarily saying it was child support that initiated, but if that woman did want government assistance, that comes from taxes and child support. So that cycle, it just keeps going over and over and over and over, So I don't know, it's crazy. And then most women don't want no man on child support. Huh? Hello?
You know what? Because I've heard someone say that. Like, I can't mess with me.
No, it's real. They don't want you if you're a black or brown man that's on child support, have more than one baby mothers or a mother of your children, if you've been divorced or if you've been a felon. Any 4 of those. And all those can stem from the simple fact you're on child support. Child support will make you a felon. If you get divorced, you're on child support and you're on spouse support.
That's money coming out of my household going into some other bitch's household. Yep.
Huh?
Yep. That's the mentality. Yep.
So you got this brother. You got this brother outside again. He trying to find somewhere to stay. He can't even afford to keep a roof over his head. So he got to go stay with somebody somewhere. I'm just saying, you perpetuated it all over again. It fall right back on this man, how he supposed to man up some way, somehow. He can't have no flaws, no errors, no nothing.
Mm-hmm.
You're expecting perfection, and you're not even perfect yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Who, the woman from the man?
Mhm. Yeah, but and that's vice versa too. That's man. Same thing. Same thing.
Mm-hmm.
It goes both ways. We'll put it like that. It goes both ways. You cannot. I can't say you can't expect anything more than what you are, but before you get the asking for all this top notch shit, you better take one good look, goddamn look in the mirror.
Who do that?
Mm-hmm.
Nobody.
I'm just saying, who do that?
I'm saying you can't be a woman or a man saying, "Hey, I want this, and this, and this, and this, and that," and you can't even provide half of that. You can't even do half of that. You can't do that.
So what's a real man or a real nigga?
Ooh, a real nigga? Oh no, we not gonna
I mean,
even.
that's on the streets.
You know what?
I want me a
That's
real
on the
man,
street. A real nigga. We just gonna
a
counsel
real
that
man,
term.
a real
We're gonna
nigga, whichever one
counsel
you want to
that
use.
term. A real man. What is a real man?
I mean, I'm just saying that's what some women would say they want. They want a real man or they want a real nigga.
Nigga. And what is the difference between a real man and a real nigga? A real
I
nigga
don't
is
know. The
somebody
basis is still that he
that.
needs to protect and provide.
Uh,
Those are the basis
those are the
instantly out
bases,
the
and
gate.
one is more street smart, more street real, the real nigga, because a real man ain't gonna want to be called a real nigga.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I look at John right now and say you a real nigga, he gonna look at me and be like, "What? That's disrespectful to him. A real nigga? You calling me a?" John wouldn't dare.
Well, I mean, this is presuming that this was my queen calling
Right?
me
A real,
yeah, yeah. I got a
a real
real nigga.
nigga.
You know what I'm saying? I got a real nigga. Hey, come here, come here, come here.
Yeah, we gotta
Hey,
make some
we'll be
adjustments.
back. We'll be back. We'll be back. We'll be back. And then then she gonna come
Yeah,
back like so. What I was saying was I got me a real man. You
there
know,
you go.
he don't
Exactly.
like girl. What
Exactly.
happened to you? Well, he gonna take care of me tonight. So
He quietly checked me. That's what he did. And there is nothing wrong with that. A lot of women don't want to be checked. They want to do what the hell.
I'm sorry. Need some tea. Need to sip
but
some tea.
one more reach back about the solution to the destruction of the black family as it relates to the variable of unfair housing, discriminatory housing,
There we go.
poverty, low income housing, and all that. Um, when I look at the trajectory, my personal trajectory, right? We were in Section 8 housing. We were in the projects, right?
Mm,
And not having that father figure there, it made me realize that when it's usually the offspring, it's not the man, it's not a man. It's typical because I mean, really, you got to think about this. Like I was saying before, the market for monogamy when it comes to women in low income areas, they're not the most desirable, right? Like if you're talking about leveling up hypergamy, those women don't count. And I mean, it's a sad circumstance, but that's the reality. Those women don't count. Ain't no six figure, not even a man that's making $60,000 a year is gonna be looking at her saying, you know what, I want to make that my wife. She got 2 kids. I'm trying to level her up. It ain't a whole lot of that going on. It's usually some man that's at the same level, right? So you
mhm,
got to really think if marriage is going to get you, because that's what it's designed for now. You got one income. You ain't getting
mm.
out of that unless you get more education, you
There it is.
seize an economic opportunity, right? Or you marry up. But I'm being reductionistic here, right? So we got these three options. Typically, it's through your children. Let's think about all the hip hop songs that we've heard.
Okay.
I'm trying to get my mama out the hood.
Mm.
I'm trying to get my mama out the hood. It ain't dad's rapping that shit. I'm trying to get my baby mama out the hood.
It's the young man.
It's the kids. It's typically the kids that's rapping that narrative. So typically for us, it's going to be the kids. Mom went with dad. Dad vacated. Mom got on the teat of the government because she didn't have no other choice, really. I mean, well, she did have another choice. She could have been a prostitute, right, or an escort or whatever. Maybe that would have worked out. Maybe not. But you just look at it from. It's like you set these women back 80 years to where they have fewer opportunities to level up. They're restricted to the home, or you become a laborer that's working for low wage, right? You have kids. That's in the grandest sense, that's your investment. That is your greatest investment. I've heard this quite a few times. When it comes to generational wealth, your kids are wealth. Because what ends up happening is whatever resources you acquire, including technical knowledge, including industry knowledge, right, including cultural knowledge, when you pass it down to your kids, they end up correcting the mistakes that you made.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
so they end up being in a better position than you did. And then they look back and they recall, dang, you got me out of this situation. I remember your struggle. Let me get you out of it. So it becomes that's the return on investment. So if we're looking at this from the grand scheme of things, that's typically what happens. It ain't like I haven't heard a story like that where no. It's rare. I'm gonna say it's rare that you hear a story of a single mother living in the projects, 2 kids or whatever, 2, 3 kids, 5 kids, gets married, levels up, and gets out of the hood. It's very rare.
It's not
It's
gonna happen.
very rare.
Oh,
And that's how those white women got off. That's how those white women got off of it. Their quality of life improved. So you have to improve the quality of life of the recipients of welfare. It's not enough to just give them housing, food assistance, a little bit of cash assistance, and this job over here that pays minimum wage. It's not enough. You can't make wealth out of that.
they're not trying to. That's not what it's designed for.
Yeah.
That's not why no. They're not trying to. They want you
But
to be where you're at.
right.
They
So
want you complacent.
policies.
They want you content. They don't want you to strive for more. They telling you this is the guidelines to keep what you got going on. You can't go over 15 grand a year. Guess what? You
that
ain't going
depends
over 15
that
grand.
that depends on
Woo!
which audience of white people you're talking to, however,
Okay.
because you still got to think this is a social cost to society. They still got to pay for this. They still got
Who's paying for it?
everyone who's paying
Everybody.
taxes.
There's a big
Everyone
And
who's paying
exactly.
taxes. So if you're putting money into this, you got to ask yourself as a society, yo, are we okay with this? We keep
Right.
reproducing this problem. It's like it's this thing that's just here, and we're like, yeah, all right, we're gonna throw some money at the problem. But are we alleviating the problem? Are we, continually trying to improve
No,
on this problem?
no,
Right? So it depends on
no.
which collection of white people you ask. And I
Okay.
would say it has to be a collection of both Republican ideals and, liberal ideals, so that you create this solution to where it's like, all right, cool. We're going to open it up a little bit. We're going to open it up a little bit. And then in 5 years, we're going to open it up some more. We're just taking steps here to just see how this happens so that we alleviate this problem of a poverty consciousness. We want everybody to be on equal footing, whatever the fuck that means. But we're not investing in the programs that would create the pipeline for that to happen. I'm not dissing the existence of social welfare programs. I'm not even saying we need to just get rid of them. I'm
No.
saying if we're trying to reduce the cost that's associated with it, we need programs. And I really do believe that certain figures, at least, within the past couple of decades, have tried. They've tried. You still got to have Congress, no matter what. You still got to have Congress in on this. One local government cannot do anything unless it reflects the state.
Okay.
So I'm gonna leave it there. I'm gonna just leave it there.
Yeah, but what's interesting, two things you had said. One is that you have in these rap songs and a lot of young brothers that make it to the league, they are quick to bring mama out the hood, but they always go back to the hood to mess with. Anyway, so you also have where you just stated these programs that we had, they are funded by taxes.
Mm-hmm.
And in order to not always just raise taxes, you raise the labor force. And by doing that, you make it to where you don't surpass a certain number. So you keep the labor force right here. Because I would hate for, let's say, if you were to do an experiment, for every hood there is, you take 100 people out of that hood and put them in a position to start careers or to start their own company. Then you'll start changing the dynamics of things, like dramatically.
Oh, yeah.
Dramatically, you'll start changing the dynamics of things. Not only would you change the dynamic, you'll start saving families, saving lives, and also putting us at a different foot. You can't have that. Unfortunately, I hate to say it, but I'm pretty sure John and Sis, you'll probably be able to acknowledge this, that you don't want to offset. You don't want to offset the poverty line. I be tripping off of that. Like, you still got to have, bullshit go along. I mean, yin and yang truly exists. It truly exists in any and everything that we do. So for every right, there's still a wrong. For every wrong, there's a right. And when we talk about these things, it'd be like, well, if we really did change the hood, what would be the purpose of the police? You know what I'm saying? It's I don't know. It's crazy when you look at the economics of this from the top all the way down to the bottom. It'll do a number on you. It's like, damn, it's almost like you need bottom feeders. Like, no matter what, you need bottom feeders.
Wow.
And that's crazy. That's crazy.
Okay, before we're at an hour and 17 minutes. Here we go, always running over. I wanted to touch on this is off subject, but on subject. What were you looking up earlier? I can't. Pruitt-Igoe? Am I saying it correctly?
Yeah, Pruitt.
Pruitt.
Pruitt. Igoe. IGOE.
Oh my God. Go ahead and speak on that, because this is for all of my if anyone is in St. Louis right now, y'all are watching this live. This happened in St. Louis, Missouri.
I want to say Pruitt-Igoe along with, well, no, I won't say that part. I was going to go into something else. But Pruitt-Igoe, I mean, was in my opinion, was a hellhole. Nothing good came of that at all. Period. It was at one point 40% white, and once the blacks started moving in, they was gone. Like, I'm talking about instantly, they was gone. They got up out of there, and then it became predominantly
Black.
Black, yes, black and brown. Predominantly women too, because you couldn't be no man and get housing.
They really, yeah, they don't want.
Yeah, you couldn't sign up for housing authority as a male. I mean, that's crazy, but it is what it is. But during those times, you had a lot of women that felt like it was the best thing happening because you was able to take care of your children, and your mom stayed over here, your grandma stayed over there, and you was able to have a tight knitted family. But social engineering, it wasn't the best thing happened happening for a black family. Because once again, you didn't have that male in the household. You know, he probably visited on the weekends or late nights. You know, so he had to find somewhere to go. Your hole in the wall or the bar or Becky house. Just saying, it's possible. You know, and if he didn't come home that night, that's a whole nother argument.
And they tore him down. It was basically housing authority, housing agency, government housing. Yet the agencies are still in place. What happened to that particular place? We're still doing it today, except we're just little small sections around the city.
Mm-hmm.
That's still going on. Yeah. Because they're not going to move. They're not going to have section. You're not going to go to the West End and find Section 8. You're not going to go to West County and find Section 8.
I was going to say the West End. Yeah. West County. Nah. Western Grove. Nah. You ain't going to find that out there.
No, you're not going to go.
You're not going to find that out there. St. Peter's, St. Charles. You're not going to find that out there at all.
No. So it's still going on. Just in
it's still going on.
It's just in different areas of the city.
Yep, depending on the zip code.
That's it. They're going to keep you in a certain area. That's it. You know, and when you think about it, they're based. That's control. Control. They control where you live. They control how it's control. They control where you live. So at any given point, they can move you like a chess piece.
Or shut the major highways down.
Oh.
So you think about it.
You have to be careful when you're getting on this government assistance, because it is not geared to move you forward, but to keep you content. You still have to want or have that desire to be more and do more for yourself and for your children. Period. You got to think about that generation coming up behind you. We have a family mantra. If you call my daughter right now and ask her, she'll tell you every generation is supposed to get better.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just supposed to. So can I get some tissue? I tell my daughter all the time, and I tell my children this all the time: don't be anything like me. Be better than me.
Be better. Yeah.
Be better. Excuse me.
Be better.
Be better than me. Don't be anything like me. Be better than me. I'm happy that at this age that I am not a grandmother. My son is 23 years old, no children. My daughter is 22, no children. My 13-year-old is just a spoiled brat. Very intelligent. Oh my God. Woo! That girl gave me a headache. But yeah, think about the generation coming up behind you while you're, living your life. You only live once, YOLO or whatever. Think about the generation coming up behind you. So, that's my message. And I want to thank everybody who jumped in on this live tonight. We had quite a couple of viewers. Thank you, Costello, for always commenting. I just always appreciate that. If you watched the live last week, thank you for that. Thank you to Gia. She actually shared it on her page last week. So I want to thank everyone who took our time to sit down and watch this live. Next week, we're going to be talking about John. John, what are we talking about next week?
Interracial dating.
Interracial dating. This should be a really interesting topic. I think brother already touched on it. You know, when the black man does get out of the hood and make something of himself, he's generally does not come back to the hood to grab anything to come with him. He is looking around in his new environment for someone to build with. So yeah. All right. Alexa, play. I don't know what was I listening to. So thank you. And thank you, John, for carrying this whole damn show today.
I carry the conversation.
Yes, you did.
I did not carry the conversation.
John, I mean,
I just
brother.
made a few points.
Alexa, stop. Yeah, a few points. You go back and watch this show. You made all of them. You know.
Call the points.
I love it though, because when you get the going, baby, I just, yeah. You just go. I love it. I love it. I really do. So yeah, with that being said, let's go ahead and end right here. I want to thank everybody again for jumping in on this live. We'll see y'all back here next week, Sunday at 7:00, interracial dating.